Hello, welcome to Thrive Live, our 10th episode. Today we are doing Thrive Live from Leeds Playhouse in the centre of Leeds. As you can see in the background, it's an absolutely beautiful day here in Leeds. Here at the Playhouse they have over 1,000 seats across 2 theatres, one larger, one smaller. Today's topic is stage or screen, the power of storytelling. So linked to theatre and cinema. After that, we've got a really juicy topic. We're going to be talking about crumble. Rhubarb crumble in particular. You might be wondering why we're going to be talking about rhubarb. Stay tuned and find out.
I just wanna thrive here, grow into my space and bloom. Don't just wanna survive here. We're gonna see each other through. The world is for me and you. I just wanna thrive here, grow into my space and bloom. Don't just wanna survive here. We're gonna see each other through. The world is for me and you.
We have got 3 gorgeous guests here, local Leeds women, so I'm going to introduce them. We've got Elizabeth Bojas.
Hello.
Maresia Spencer.
Hello.
And we've got Kaplana Hixon, Kapu for short.
Hello.
Welcome and thank you. So we've talked about the topic today, screen or stage, the power of storytelling. So really I want to talk about your experiences, your first experience of seeing a show at the theatre or going to the cinema for the first time. Do you remember the first time you went? I do. I remember going. I was, as a young child, we'd go to the theatre quite a lot. We went on school trips to the theatre to see the panto. That was really, really popular at the time. And what did it feel like? The panto's great because it's so visual. It's so easy to follow the story and see what's going on. So you can pick up the story as you're going. You don't necessarily need the full access.
Yeah, the same for me as well actually. I remember being about 12 or 13 at school, and it was really exciting because there was a group of us deaf children and we would go along and watch, and they had like an interpreter on stage which was so engaging and it was so exciting, and I always remember thoroughly enjoying it. I used to love going every single year. It was such a fantastic experience. Yeah, I was about 8 or 9 possibly, but I went to the cinema and I remember watching my first Bollywood film with my mother, and there was so much acting going on. Some of it was happy, some was sad. There was such a variety of stories, but yeah, I would definitely say that's my favourite. So yeah, from my mum's house, it was like a 2-minute walk, and there was a cinema there, so we were quite lucky.
Oh,
yeah, we go
easy
quite
then.
frequently. It was quite easy for us. We'd go and then come home.
So, in terms of theatre or screen, thinking about whether or not you were going to the cinema and it was that huge screen or going to the theatre, are there any stories that really stuck with you?
I think for me, like a Christmas panto, I feel really engaged with. I really enjoy those because I think they're quite exciting. It's all the festivities before Christmas, and then you get home and it feels really Christmassy, and that was before school would close, so I used to make the most of it. I used to absolutely love it, and it was all like Christmassy and festive, a lot of dancing. It was just really engaging and interactive, and I loved the way that they would move and have the visualization on stage, and also it showed that like deaf people can be involved as well.
Yeah, and I think as well it was more about being linked to the story. So you've got a goodie and a baddie on either side, you know, so growing up you'd see that and think, oh okay, that's naughty and nice, that means good and that means bad, and get booing along and things like that. It was so much fun being engaged with it. Oh yeah, Panto's so famous for really getting some audience participation, getting the audience to shout out things. So would you kind of shout out, or would you just stay really quiet? Or probably 50-50. I think it depends on which, what story it was. But, everybody would boo when the baddie would come on. I'd just copy and follow along. Really, you're there for the atmosphere and soaking it all in, but it's just such a childhood memory. It's great.
Yeah, definitely. And with it being very visual, it's suitable for anyone, whether you're deaf or hearing, and everyone would laugh along and share that joy. It's just a fantastic experience, isn't it? I don't think I would want to be on stage, though. I'm a bit too shy for that. Yeah, same for me. I like the way that the curtains open and it's a huge reveal. It's so engaging, isn't it? And sometimes if I wouldn't understand, I would go to my mum and she would act it out or kind of gesture what it was. And I remember just being in amongst all the people and just the full atmosphere was just amazing. I used to love it.
Yeah. And back in the 80s, they had those huge screens and they'd have curtains that open, wouldn't they?
Yeah, a grand. I can't remember if they opened that way, but yeah, it was such a grand opening.
Oh, you were just a baby.
Yeah.
I'm a 70s girl, so. And yeah, we'd always sit at the front on the front row, and then there'd be the orchestra in front of us, so you'd be able to feel the vibrations from the orchestra or from the speakers in the cinema. So you'd always sit on the front row. Oh, I always remember sitting on the middle because then I'd be able to. Get a really, really good view and see everything, so it was all completely visual. But the first thing I saw at the cinema was Superman. Really action-packed, and there were no captions at that time, but you didn't really need them because it was so visual. You could just, my eyes were like saucers watching it. And now I just think everything's getting smaller, isn't it? Yeah, the chairs definitely feel smaller, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I went in last week and the cinema and everything is still the same. I went in and actually the outside was the same, but inside it had changed massively and everything just felt a lot smaller. And I think things have maybe been more like the size has been utilised, but the clock was still the same, and that gave me some level of nostalgia. But the colours were the same. Some of the chairs were new, but it was such a strange feeling. So is that something park? There's about 6. It's near my area. Yeah, I remember going a few times actually to there was a cinema, an old cinema in town. It's closed down now, I believe. The one near Primark, but is that the one that you're talking about there near the shops? Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's such a shame, isn't it, that so many local small cinemas have closed down. It's such a cultural thing and such a hub, and I think people are watching at home. They're live streaming a lot more. Certainly Bollywood films and things. Would you go and see the same thing over and over again? Because it's so you're connected culturally to that.
Yeah, I think it's difficult though because the language is always a bit of a barrier, so it's quite difficult to feel fully engaged sometimes. I don't really go that often. If they're really animated, then it's fine.
The dancing though.
Oh yeah, the dancing is just amazing. The colours, the vibrancy, it's just amazing. The dresses that they wear. And they have like 2 people dancing at the front and then a whole host of people dancing at the back with all such an array of different clothing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whether it's theatre or cinema, I think people connect to the costumes. It might be that one actor is playing loads of different characters and you're looking and you're just thinking, how are they doing that? How are they remembering everything? How are they changing?
Yeah, when I was younger, I always remember them thinking, how have they got changed so quickly? I used to try and watch to see if I could spot any quick subtle changes, but they were so fast at it, and you could tell that they were quite out of breath when they came back on, but they're like smiling and dancing on through, but sweating, but you'd think, wow, it's just amazing the stamina that they've got and the ability to play so many different characters with all those different lines.
Absolutely. I also think a lot of the actors would have multiple different characters, and I think when I was younger I would just kind of go along with the flow, and as I've gotten older I've started to really appreciate the work. Absolutely, that's the one thing I think, when you're young you don't really think about the ins and outs of it and the complexity of it, and you get older and you think, wow, hats off, well done you, that's really hard work what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And I think certainly through Christmas as well, you've got, it's cold, it's dark, people are out of breath, they're doing all these shows. It's always in the back of my mind now when I see stuff.
Yeah, and they must have to do so many rehearsals to get to that point, and it must be quite tiring by the end of it, but then they have to get up the next day and do it all over again. So yeah. I don't know, they must have quite good immune system to be able to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of energy drinks, lots of water. And, sleeping really, really well at night. You're absolutely exhausted. You're out cold by the end of the day. What about you, Kapu? Have you been to the theatre much?
I think the last time I went to the theatre was actually when I was at school, maybe. I know, shame on me. But I didn't, I was quite embarrassed, so I didn't actually stand up and do that. But I think my father was doing something with work, and it was somewhere in the town. It's closed down now, but I went in and I remember watching this theatre performance, and I did enjoy that. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And what about the cinema then? Do you remember the first time you went to the cinema? Yeah, the most memorable time was when I went to see Jurassic Park. It was the newest release. And I think there was captioning or something, so it was a big deal to go, so of course we went along. It was a really old cinema, like you say, with these really slow motion curtains opening, and the Jurassic Park logo came up in the middle. And I think one thing that's really disappointing when I kind of reflect on it
is part way through they would have an interval and someone would come through with the ice creams and you could buy refreshments.
And now they just don't have that, there's no gap, is there? There's no interval, so if you want the loo, you've got to either miss it or, tough. So it's really, really different now. Yeah, you've got to buy everything before you go in, haven't you? So think, right, go to the loo, get your snacks, get everything you want. What about Avatar? That was really long, wasn't it? I loved that, but
that was far too long.
I was absolutely desperate, really wanted to go out and thought, I don't want to miss anything, And I had to absolutely leg it to the loo. And I think I might have missed the best 5 minutes or something of the film, and I'm going to hold that disappointment.
Yeah, it's like Harry Potter as well. Yeah, I did. I went to the cinema to watch that and I thought, God, this is so long without a break.
Wow.
I remember going to the theatre. This is going back to when my grandma had dementia, and there was a show, and it was actually here at this place, and it was called Still Alice. And I didn't really know what dementia was at the time, and I'm from a hearing family, so I quite often missed out on information. So I went along to this performance with my friend. It was an interpretive performance, and it was so impactful and so insightful, and it was at that moment I learnt so much about dementia. It wasn't a true story, but it was about a professor who started to forget things, whether that be speech or not being themselves, and I could see some similarities there between him and my grandma, and where he would lose his keys, and there were certain patterns and repetitions, and that was so impactful. And I think even to this day it's something that I remember vividly, and I actually do support the dementia programme now, where I support deaf people to understand the dementia umbrella and share that information, because there's not much information that's accessible out there.
And that is so important, and that's what we're talking about. It's that power and that connection to your story that's so crucial, and I think that can happen in film and theatre. There was Warhorse. I don't know if you've seen Warhorse. Oh, that hit me. It was incredible. So obviously it's about historical, it's a true story, it's about the war, and I'd actually read the book, and I had this vision when I read the book, and then I went to watch the theatre production of the film, and the impact was just as big as when I'd read the book. And it's specifically about the animals and the animals' lives and how they supported people and saving the animals and the animals saving people and things like that. The captains and the sergeants being responsible for the animals, and kept them going through that because they recognised that trauma, and it's about the connection that the people had with their animals through the war, which just was so impactful. It really stuck with me, and I think Still Alice has that same sort of effect.
Oh, right, okay.
And it's about getting people to go and see that and have that connection.
Yeah, because I don't know how I found out about it. Perhaps it was through a newsletter or online, and when it said dementia, it just really stuck out at me, and it made me want to go. And because I think the information that I was getting wasn't very much, and because I saw it was interpreted, I thought it was a perfect opportunity. So I went along, and to this day I'm so glad that I went. It was so emotive. It actually helped me in knowing how to support my grandmother through that difficult time as well. And it wasn't just, where some family would be saying, oh, it's she's just forgetting, but actually it would impact her behaviours and the way she was. But at the end of the day, she was still my grandmother, and she could remember who I was, but then later she started to forget things. But it made me really appreciate that time where she did recognise who I was. And she died in 2022, but from learning that 4 years was actually paramount to me.
And it's so important. You've seen that and it's had that connection to your personality.
Yeah, my mum's brother, he has elements of dementia, and he actually doesn't remember me now. And I'll say it's Kapu, or I'll like try and explain who I am, and he didn't remember me, and then sadly he actually died.
Is there anything that you think has kind of connected to home or connected to you or given you any food for thought? Yeah, a few films that I've seen that have got a really clever way of drip feeding information through the storyline. So when you watch it, I mean, I can't name them all, but there's a lot where they have a real emotional impact, and you think, oh gosh, I hadn't thought about that, or it gives you a better understanding or a better empathy. Obviously our access to these films and theatre productions is much more limited. So you're having to try and go to the performances or the screenings that are accessible. So when you do that, I think you can learn those messages. But in terms of information about what is accessible is really difficult. So some theatres don't provide interpreted performances, for example, or they don't tell you the name, or trying to work out which one I should go to, and it's expensive as well. So it might be that actually there's only certain performances that are accessible and you can't go at that time. There's one production, it was a play called Up and Under, about rugby, that I went to see. So it's about the game. There's a guy that's really nervous, and it's all about the behind the scenes. He got injured, how it affected his body and how it affected him in his game. And when I was watching it, I just thought, wow, I learned so much from it. When I was watching sports, I remembered that feeling that it had given me, that yes, they're really tough, and yes, these players are out there and it can be brutal, but behind the scenes they're still a human being having real emotions. Absolutely. And it gives you real powerful information without you even realizing it. It can be almost subliminal. So being aware of what's going on out there.
Absolutely. And also at school there was no information about Black history, and my mum used to always say, be tough, be stern and be assertive, but I didn't ever really know what she was referring to. And it was only when I left school, and have you heard of Roots? Somebody recommended me to watch that, and I did, and in that moment I realised what exactly she meant. And I'd never really experienced racism or anything at school, but my mum had tried to explain it to me, and in a way that she couldn't, she advised me to watch Roots. And at that moment I felt that strong feeling of empathy, and I felt that, and I felt how people have obviously been impacted by that historically.
Absolutely. And I've got a question here. This can be related to theatre or cinema, so try and think, is there anything that you've seen where there's a particular character or a particular part of the story that has absolutely stuck with you and that's stayed in your memory?
Oh, I do, yeah. There's one Bollywood actor, Amit Bachchan, and he's a Bollywood actor, and when I was younger I was just so fixated on him, but I used to still watch, I still watch him. He's 83 now, he's still alive, but he's one that I just used to really love to watch. And I met him once and I was really starstruck.
So what was it about that character that...
It was more his acting. It's just, he could play any part in a sad story, just whichever film he was in. I just felt drawn in.
Yeah, some people like to go because their favourite actor is in that production.
Yeah, he is a good actor.
So it might be that you're watching, a specific film, and actually really you just want to watch it because your favourite actor's there and you feel like you've got that connection with them. What about you, Elizabeth? For me, Robin Williams, the comedy actor. It was really easy to watch anything that he was in. It's so funny, so funny. I grew up watching his films, and in terms of access that we had, there wasn't really that much, but everything he did was so visual. His humour was so visual. Yeah, it's really physical as well. So it gives you that idea of, oh, he can do that, and so I can do that too. Robin Williams was a great example of that, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite sad though, because actually behind the scenes he did experience some mental health issues, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, and it taught us all that, even these famous actors are wearing a mask and everybody's having these struggles behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think in one way he was an amazing actor and really funny, but on the other side clearly was struggling.
Yeah, it was a shock.
And have you ever like watched a film or a theatre production and you've been following the story and you're thinking, I wonder what their real life is like. I wonder what it's like behind the mask or behind the scenes. You're watching the film, do you just zone out or?
No, I just kind of watch it for entertainment, really. I've never thought of it.
I think for me, Anthony Hopkins, the Welsh actor. I grew up actually in the same town as Anthony Hopkins. So his old house is around the corner from my old house. So every time I saw a film with him in it, I'd think, gosh, I could imagine what his life was like growing up, because I felt like I had that connection to his life outside of acting, and I could follow his journey. That was really lovely.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I think when it's people from your hometown, you've got that connection. I'm originally from Luton. I was born and grew up in Luton. There's a famous presenter, Stacey Dooley. Is it Stacey Dooley? Yes, that's it, Dooley. That's how you spell it. Yeah, she's from Luton. Yeah, her school was right round the corner from my school. We were a similar age. We grew up. So every time I see her, I think we grew up, a stone's throw from each other, and we've never crossed paths, or did we? I don't know. And when you think about the path that your life takes you on, and whether they're going to cross or not, and it's just really, really wonderful to see. Yeah, you never know, she might have been behind you in the queue in the supermarket at some point.
Yeah, for me, I don't really take much notice of famous people and celebrities, but I do quite like singers. So Mel B from the Spice Girls, she's obviously from Leeds. She's actually got some links to my family and friends, which I find amazing. But I can kind of understand what her life was like, because her mum's just like a normal person, somebody who I feel a likeness to. But on the television, you think, we get this perception of people who are celebrities, but actually they're just normal people. So that's kind of my little kind of claim to fame, or that connection with somebody from Leeds. And that's why when you watch films, you don't really see that side of it. But I think for me, I really love music, so I get that draw there. Yeah, did her mum live? She lived round here somewhere before, didn't she? And I remember looking at the house when I would pass and think, yeah, that's amazing, that's where she lives. Yeah, it's a small world, isn't it?
Just brilliant. It's so lovely. We could talk for hours, couldn't we, about that? It's such an easy topic to talk about, but we're going to hold it there. I'm sure our stomachs are rumbling and we're ready. So I'm sure you are familiar, everybody is aware of Rhubarb Crumble. You might think, why on earth am I talking about Rhubarb Crumble? Well, Leeds is famous for rhubarb. So there's something called the Rhubarb Triangle, which is linked to West Yorkshire. So everyone all over the world knows that West Yorkshire is famous for the best rhubarb. So it's called the Rhubarb Triangle, and it's because we've got Leeds, Wakefield and Bradford, and the three cities make up a triangle. So there's a specific forced rhubarb that is grown specially, and they're in these huge sheds that are really dark. It's all lit by candlelight, and everything grows within these really dark sheds, and it forces the flavour, so it's particularly sweet and has a really, really good flavour. So every year Leeds has, around February time, a rhubarb festival, so I thought we'd talk about that. And here we go, look. There you go. Dig in. Is it warm? And we've got some spoons here.
Oh, let's see.
Let's see what we think.
I actually don't like it.
Let's see what we've got here. Oh, it's sweet.
That's lovely.
It's really. You look worried. You look worried, Kapu.
No. No.
You don't like it, really?
Oh, this is lovely. It's nice.
Oh, I like it. It's so sweet. You don't like it?
No, I don't like it. No, it's gone. It's gone. No, it's
Have some
definitely
water,
not
wash
my
it down.
favourite.
carry on digging. So I've got a question for you. You're born and raised in Leeds.
Yeah.
So were you aware of the rhubarb triangle and the history of rhubarb here?
No, it was my husband has an allotment, and I saw that he was growing some rhubarb there. And I did remember at school I had rhubarb, and I didn't like it then either, and it's really put me off. So I saw that there. My husband absolutely loves rhubarb crumble. He said, I'll make some for you. So he did it, prepared it, baked it all for me. And I didn't like it then either. So yeah, I just gave it to my husband. He loves it, and he will just eat it all.
And what about you, Marissa? You're from Leeds. Did you know about it? You know, you're born and raised in Leeds. You should have known about this.
I didn't know about that. I feel embarrassed. I should have known it. No, I didn't know.
Every day's a school day.
Yeah, I think the reason being is rhubarb. Well, I'm not keen on rhubarb anyway, and I do like an apple crumble, but my family would always make apple crumble. And I have tried it before, and I think maybe I've had it in shops that's not been that good and it's put me off, but this actually is lovely, so I might look at doing some homemade, homegrown rhubarb crumble.
Yeah, it's actually a special rhubarb farm and it's all homemade.
I'll have a look.
So it's from the sheds, and I think maybe what you've had before is rhubarb that's not from the rhubarb triangle.
Yeah, possibly.
Had you heard that story? No, I hadn't actually, but I do love rhubarb. Yeah, and this is my mum's sign for rhubarb. So 2 fingers coming over the top of the other hand. And that's what my mum always signed growing up, so that's my sign. My mum made this, so I really love it. One thing that's missing for me is custard. Well, hold that thought.
I agree.
Cold.
Custard.
Oh no, hot custard.
Yeah, hot custard, definitely.
Cold custard, hot crumble, cold custard, the perfect balance. You should try it. Oh no, I think hot custard.
Yeah, hot for me.
So what would you prefer? Custard,
I don't like
cream?
No, I don't like it. But I would have hot custard. But I think some people like it with ice cream, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you go into a pub and they say to you, do you want ice cream or custard? I'm just almost offended that they would offer me ice cream.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
it's
you
a
need
must,
custard.
isn't it? It just feels so like comforting, doesn't it? It's like one of those comfort foods. It's lovely. I mean, to be honest, this doesn't have any custard, but it's still lovely. My husband has it with cream. Yeah, he quite likes it with cream. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it's like a bit of a balance between hot and cold.
And I think actually it's linked to history. It's linked to the war. There was bombs that went off, and then in the day, obviously, well, when night came, they'd have to go into these sheds, and that's how they had the idea to hide in these sheds. And it was a food source that they had because they were growing them in these sheds, and they realised it tasted different to rhubarb that was grown out in the fields, you know, amongst the daylight. So, like I say, it's Wakefield, Leeds, and Bradford. Yeah, so there's this triangle, and they would deliver it between them, you know, and help each other and set up these sheds, and they'd grow it in the middle of the night by candlelight. You know, so they'd have these candles there to light the way. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it on the telly actually. Is it on the Yorkshire News? I've seen it, and it's kind of like tunnels, and you can see where they're all growing along the sides. I have seen it.
Yeah, I think it's really sweet as well, and I think you know, in wartime obviously there was just not really much access to sugar, was there? Sugar was rationed, so they needed to get the sweetness from somewhere. And I think, you know, rhubarb has all of that sugar in it, so it was a really naturally sweet, and I think a lot of food during the war was quite bland because they didn't have seasoning, salt, sugar and things like that. So I wonder if that's one way that they would add sweetness.
Yeah, I never thought of it. Maybe that is the reason behind it. I thought the candles, was that to maybe help them become more red?
Yes, it's bright pink. Bright
pink. Yeah, I think that might help because some of the ones that you see in the shop are quite green, aren't they? They're not very ripe. So when you see, and they're quite difficult to cut, aren't they? So, and then you have to add more things to them. But I think maybe the ones that are homegrown ripen a lot sweeter.
And this is really pink. Well, maybe you're gonna have to build your husband a rhubarb shed.
Yeah, well, we have a wooden shed.
There you go. You can persuade him. Try and grow the rhubarb in there by candlelight.
I'll try. We can try it.
Yeah, what do you think then? It's just delicious, isn't it? Oh, I'm going back for more.
Yeah, not for me, I'm sorry.
Well, keep it. You can take it home, give it to your husband.
I will, I'll give it to my husband.
You were saying that you like apple crumble. When I grew up, I did eat apple crumble, but also plum.
I do make plum crumble. It is delicious. I make plum crumble and it is lovely.
You know, I tried to buy these rhubarb crumbles for this, and I actually had to go to this specific farm where they made it. I don't know why it's not popular.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why I wasn't aware of it, because it isn't very popular.
I don't know whether they eat it. Maybe it's... But there's a rhubarb festival. It says that there's a massive rhubarb festival and it's really popular. People actually come from out of the area and from overseas for it. Well, maybe I need to go and have a look. Yeah, it's February time. February rhubarb. You have a look on Google. You'll be able to find it. There's lots of different things about that.
Yeah, I work at Marks and Spencer's and I always see gigantic rhubarbs, and you know, I put them through. Some of them are humongous, so yeah, but they're in Marks and Spencer's. I'll keep that in mind. I will keep in mind to go to the festival, because they're not the same in the shops, are they? But this is just right. It's not too sour. I'm not much of a sour person, but this tastes lovely.
I agree, it's just right. And then sometimes it's mixed with apple, and that can kind of mix the flavour up a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't have to just be one flavour and one fruit. Yeah, I like adding apple and things. Sometimes if somebody isn't keen on rhubarb, it might be apple and rhubarb is preferable. Maybe you need to try that.
Yeah, I'll try that. I'll have a think about it.
You're talking about plum crumble though. Actually, I grow plums in the back garden, but they're yellow plums, and they are perfect for desserts, perfect for cooking. So we had we had an absolute glut of them this year, and I just didn't know what to do with them. So maybe I'll have a play and see what I can make. Jam, you could make jam.
Yeah, you could do jam.
They do sell rhubarb jam, don't they? They make rhubarb jam.
I have seen people make jam. I've never actually tried to make it. You should. No, I think my husband may have, but to be honest, we quite like Marks and Spencer's.
So do you like sweet things?
I used to, but no, not now.
What about chocolate?
No, I don't eat chocolate.
You've stopped, wow. I think as you grow up, your tastes change, don't they, as well?
Yeah, do you know that your taste buds change every 7 years?
I had no idea.
And that's, I have children, so I'm a mother, and my children would love food, and then as they've grown up, they start saying, oh, I don't like that. And it shocks me, because I think, well, you used to love it. And I realised that actually it's just a case of their taste buds are changing, which is disappointing, because then I have to cook different foods and try and match their preferred tastes.
Yeah, you'll have to get a schedule. So, right, okay, 7, 14, 21, 28. We'll have to change the menu every 7 years.
Exactly, yeah, I do. I have to be on my toes. I feel like a chef and have to create something new all the time.
And it might be that sometimes you try things and you didn't like before, and you surprise yourself sometimes.
Exactly.
It's really interesting though. I think, you know, when people say, oh, what's your favourite food? It changes sometimes. And sometimes it might be that something isn't grown anymore, or it's just not popular anymore, or you can't get hold of something. And so actually you kind of give up on that and you move to something else. I think it depends on your mood as well. Like what you fancy some days isn't going to be what you fancy another day. And I don't necessarily think it's about having a preference, because there's too many different amazing foods to choose from.
Yeah, the same for me. My children they'll often say, Mum, what's your favourite food? And for me, I don't know, because I would have a go-to meal before, but maybe it's a case of my taste buds have changed, or in that moment I just don't fancy it. I think a lot of it is mood dependent, isn't it? Because I quite like a lot of things.
Do you remember going to the supermarket and seeing, there's something that you loved and all of a sudden it's gone?
Yeah, I have people, like somebody's come before and said, oh, do you have this? And they've brought a cut out of the label of something that they like, and it's not been there. And I've asked all the staff and they said, oh, they don't make it anymore because it's not popular enough.
Do you think that's an environmental effect, that it's not grown anymore? Or?
I think it's just the factory don't make it according to demand.
So that person's just going to be stuck?
Yeah, they were quite disappointed. I had to send them off to somewhere else to see if they sold it instead. And, like meatloaf was really, really popular before.
Meatloaf, you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah, that was really popular. And they don't really make it as much now. That's just one example. I don't know if it's just not popular. Yeah, there's world foods. If you've been to the world food shops, then maybe they have different things.
Oh, I wonder whether that farm's going to carry on. You know, maybe the farm's gonna close down if it's not popular anymore. Wouldn't that be a shame? Why are you looking like that for?
Yeah, it's quite nice to pass things on through generations, isn't it? Because it passes on history and tradition.
Yeah, so you know, your grandparents might make something, they might pass on a recipe. You know, sometimes I find recipes that my great-great-grandmother has made. You know, that she was a really, really good baker. She made amazing cakes, and I'm looking through and there's something in the recipe book, and it's like potato cake, and it's linked to wartime and how they would make cakes using what they had available to them. So I can just see her old-fashioned writing, and it feels so valuable to me. It's really precious, you know, and trying their recipes gives me an idea of what life might have been like for them, you know. So I've tried a couple, but there's loads in there. And obviously, you know, we love cooking. I'm sure most of us as women do love cooking, and there's heritage in there, isn't there? So I think having that and being able to pass that heritage on, you know, when new things come in and everybody's using microwaves and air fryers and chucking stuff in the oven, and you know, I think it's really important to remember those cultural old-fashioned recipes, and that's homemade, and there's love gone into that.
I know, and it's funny you talk about things being homemade and carrying on that tradition. My daughter is a teenager now, and she's always on TikTok, and there are so many food recipes on TikTok now. It's amazing. I think there's a bit of an influence there at the moment, and it's kind of encouraged her to try a few new things, and that's on TikTok. So I think like it may be a little trend, a generational thing.
That's really positive. Yeah, and I think homemade food is always made with love.
Yeah.
Because whoever's made it, they've put their effort and their love into that to make that, and you can taste it in the food. I think if you've got a factory-made, processed, hyper-processed something, there's no kind of human thought about what goes into it. Yeah, and I think, you know, when you've got your own children and you want to pass things on to them, so do you think that your children, their children, are going to go on making homemade food, or do you think it's going to, you know, the culture's going to shift and people are going to just want everything processed?
I think for me, my family are from the Caribbean, so we've got that strong tradition of making home-cooked meals, because my grandparents and the grandparents before that would always do that. So I strongly believe that my children will continue that, but maybe not the British foods, but we'll do like rice and beans and you know, the mac and cheese and things like that on a Sunday. And I'm really hopeful that they'll continue with that tradition.
And I'm sure when they grow up, they'll think, oh, I miss that food. My mother cooks Sri Lankan food all the time, and whenever I think about that, whenever I eat that food, I have such a strong memory that comes back to me, and so it's really important to me to carry that on.
Yeah, my mum taught me how to cook, and I now cook those, and I'm passing that on to my two children as well. But I've tried to influence them to cook rather than get takeaways, because we do agree that it tastes different. You just can't beat it. It's got more flavour. But when you get them from the takeaway, you don't really get much there, and it's not very flavoursome. But handmade is better, and my children do agree. So I have passed that on, and I've written down recipes, and she's kept them, and I hope that she'll keep them in the future to keep cooking.
That's really good. I think it's important to share your favourite recipes with your children, because it might be that they particularly like, you know, they've got a favourite food and they grow up and then they want to give it to their children, but they don't know how to cook it. So it's important that we write our recipes down and the methods and pass those on, so that you can pass that tradition forward and keep it going. You know, so the things that I've made with my children that they really like, I make sure I write it all down in, you know, my own book. Okay, I've got a question for you. Try and think about maybe one recipe. If there was one recipe or one ingredient that just disappeared, what would you do? Well, I'd find an alternative. I'd find a substitute. I'd find something similar and have to experiment and try different things to replace it. I would certainly not give up, you know, I'd keep trying.
Yeah, I would say maybe the same. Maybe try something different. But we, in our family, we love chicken, and it's something that we use a lot. So if there was no chicken anymore, I don't know what we would do. I do have a vegan recipe book there and a vegetarian recipe book there. So there's nothing stopping you from just mixing things up a little bit and experimenting with different foods. You know, and some of those are just as nice.
That's just reminded me. Think about the potato famine in Ireland. You know, that was very much a cultural shift, wasn't it? It affected huge amounts of people, so they had to think, right, okay, how are we going to survive?
That's right. My children, quite often if they leave the food, I'll remind them that they need to be grateful for the food, because there are plenty of people that don't have the luxury of this, and you know, it does impact them, and they do think, oh yeah, and it does remind them to be grateful.
Kapu, anything? If there's anything that just disappeared?
Yeah, if they don't make things anymore, I tend to try and write things down and have a look on YouTube and work out ways to remake it. And I have been successful in doing that in the past. It's quite difficult to do, but actually it's often the best way.
Yeah, true.
I think it's really important to continue that tradition there. But like you said about rhubarb there, I now like it. You've successfully changed my view on rhubarb.
Amazing. Finish it up then, finish it up.
I know, but I need custard.
Yeah,
it would be
true.
better with custard.
Yeah, keep it, take it home, warm it up, put some custard on it.
Yeah, when I take a bit, it reminds me of slime because of the way that it's quite gloopy, isn't it? That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and there's a big psychological impact, isn't there, of food, what something looks like. I think sometimes children don't like something because of the colour or the texture or what it looks like. So you've eaten that and you've gone, oh, it looks and feels a bit slimy.
Yeah, for me it looks like hair because it's quite stringy, isn't it? Maybe that's psychologically part of it. It is, it's psychological, isn't it?
I remember when my children were little, I'd try and encourage them to, eat certain foods. They'd be like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. And I say, oh, if you travel the world, you've got to try all these different things. And I've said to them, if you were to travel, you'd need to know, to be able to accept different foods and things like that. So fish and chips, for example, they're going to have their own variation of that, and they're going to have their own cultural food. You're not going to be able to have your favourite thing all the time. Oh yeah, I will, I'll do everything, I'll just eat everything that I want to eat, and they need to learn that they have to have a really broad diet. And it'll make it easier for them when they're travelling the world, so that they're able to explore different countries and eat different foods without a problem. So talking about travelling, if you think about Brits now, we import so much. And I think sometimes you can go into one supermarket and they've got every single food from every country in the world in one shop. It's just unbelievable. Maybe people don't want to travel anymore because everything's just on the doorstep.
True. It is true. I have noticed improvement in the variety of food that's available. It was quite limited before, but now you go into a supermarket and they have a Polish section and just various different world foods, and even just I quite like the Caribbean food in the shops where I can get that food, but even in there they used to be quite limited, and you go in and it's not just Caribbean food. Yeah, you get French, Indian, there's lots of different varieties, which is great because I can do all of my shopping in one place. Yeah, it's much better now. For me, it means that I can go into a shop that I feel links to my culture, and it's got everything there.
Yeah, and there's specific cultural shops that you can go to, and I think if I go into a shop that sells Caribbean food, it's really, really eye-opening to me.
Yeah, you can definitely experiment with things, because I have a lot of people that say, where did you get that from? And I'll say, well, actually, it's from this shop that I use, and a lot of people would just say, oh, well, okay, they wouldn't see that, but now it's more exposed because they've got the option to buy it in their standard, everyday kind of mainstream supermarkets. Yeah, same as me.
Absolutely, but rhubarb is from Leeds. I think, as Elizabeth said, it's her favourite. We need to make sure we respect that and we keep that tradition that rhubarb is from Leeds. Maybe that's why I live here. Maybe there's some subliminal message, because maybe that's why I moved here. I know I'm teasing and winding you up.
Yeah, north is best, definitely.
Well, like Yorkshire tea. It's just better.
No, I don't like tea either.
You don't even like Yorkshire tea?
I know, I don't like it. It tastes weak. I don't like it. It's too weak for me.
What? I thought it's so strong. Yorkshire tea is really strong.
No.
Yeah.
No, PG tips all the way for me. It's much better.
No, come on. You're supposed to be a proper Yorkshire girl. Come on.
I know. Sorry. I know, I have tried it though, it just tastes too weak. It's got a funny taste.
Really?
You're not suitable to live here, you don't deserve it.
It's so interesting, isn't it? So, any more Yorkshire foods? Or obviously we've got Yorkshire tea, we've talked about...
Yorkshire puddings?
Of course.
Yorkshire puddings, they're popular, aren't they?
I wonder who came up with the idea. Well, I do know, I don't know who came up with it, but you can use it for sweet or savoury. So people have them with like a roast dinner, or they have them for pudding. What do you mean? So have you tried it for pudding? Can you give me an example? No. It doesn't, it's not just wrong, it feels wrong to me. Okay. It goes on a roast dinner with gravy. You know, if you've got toad in the hole, you know, that's Yorkshire pudding, isn't it? Basically, sausages and a big Yorkshire pudding, and then people have it with, I don't know, ice cream in it or chocolate or something. But yeah, people have it as pudding, honestly, they do. That's so funny that you say that's wrong. Who created the rule book? Who made the rules? Well, I suppose anybody.
Yeah, well, it's like waffles, so you can have sweet waffles, can't you? And some have savoury waffles. So I think psychological for me, I'm like, oh no, I'm not really keen on having them sweet or savoury. It's one or the other. So I would have it sweet with ice cream and things. That seems right. But to have, like, I don't know, pancakes, and you can have different things on it, like bacon and things. No, it just doesn't seem right.
It's an American thing, I think, to have them with bacon and all that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yorkshire pudding is very, very cultural, isn't it? There's a strong culture. So would you eat it with sweet things, you know, with
No.
chocolate sauce and ice cream and turn it into pudding? Well, my husband actually would always have Yorkshire pudding, the Yorkshire pudding first, eat that, and then eat the dinner after. The Yorkshire pudding is always the thing that goes first. So it's like a starter. Yeah. So like a big one, not a small one. So a Yorkshire pudding with onion gravy in, eat that, and then that's the starter, and then the roast dinner comes after.
Wouldn't it be full? Sounds quite filling.
Maybe. I never knew that. I always thought it was just on the side of the plate. I know that it's, you know, with gravy, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
that you have it with gravy. But yeah, having it as a, you know, a roast dinner to go cold while I'm eating my Yorkshire pudding and gravy. Well, I think sometimes people save it for the end because it's your favourite bit, so you save it for the end.
Yeah, same.
You finish off the roast dinner and then you have the Yorkshire pudding. You know, at the Christmas markets as well, they've got Yorkshire pudding wraps, so they wrap a roast dinner up in a Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah, I've seen them on the telly. I haven't had one, but they look really good. Yeah, I saw them. I've not tried one yet. But I saw the Yorkshire pudding wrap and it looks really filling. I've seen people eating them and you can see them physically having a pause, and I thought, oh, it's a good job I haven't bought them because they look really filling. But they look great for home as well. You know, it would be a really good tea time meal as well.
Yeah, well, you could have it in the day and then you wouldn't need tea because they're so big.
Yeah.
Or you could share it with someone. You could buy one, split it in three and have it for breakfast, lunch and tea.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't have to cook them, would you? Then you've got 3 meals in one. I like that idea, Nadia.
So what do you think about these Yorkshire pudding wraps? Do you think it breaks tradition, but you're still keeping the Yorkshire pudding? Are they just sort of shifting into something new?
Yeah, I think it's like tradition, isn't it? It's keeping tradition, but using it in a different way. It doesn't have to be the same old way of having it, does it? It just makes people, it entices people, and it's a good way for people to make profit, isn't it? Try something new.
It's a Sunday dinner on the go. It's a Sunday dinner on the go,
Perfect.
all in one.
Perfect.
You know, Sunday dinner would always be such a tradition now, and I think Sunday dinner now is not as common, is it? But, you know, having this idea of a Sunday dinner, the flavours of a Sunday dinner, wrapped up in foil, woofing it while you go around the markets. Yeah, when I was, you know, you'd have a roast dinner, the whole family, all the friends would come round, you know, or you'd be going out, the children would be out playing football and things like that. I don't know, maybe this idea of having a roast dinner in a Yorkshire pudding wrap, you can take it with you.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to always go to my grandma's every Sunday. We'd all go to grandma's for a Sunday dinner, and now they're not here anymore. That we seem to have lost that tradition. It's not the same, I don't think.
But it's nice to keep tradition.
Yeah, I do that for my children. So every Sunday I do cook a Sunday lunch. But then, you know, sometimes if there's like a basketball match on or something, they'll go there, and so they're not there for the family time. So they might have it later. So we've kind of lost a little bit of that.
Also, remember the shops were closed on Sundays. Everybody had to just stay at home on a Sunday, whereas now people are working on Sundays, or they're going out shopping and they're doing things, which means, you know, having the time to cook a Sunday dinner, it takes hours to cook a good roast. Do you think that's a break in tradition then? Well, I guess so.
Yeah, I think so. I think that we've got a bit of a mix between tradition and modern now, haven't we?
I think it's trying to kind of keep those flavours and keep those memories. But like you say, people are off doing, you know, different clubs and activities and dropping the kids off at football and this, that and the other. Well, people might, you know, go to the pub and have a roast dinner after it. Maybe they've got that in the back of their mind. Yeah, I do sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes we go to the pub. Some people go to like the Tilbury Carvery, don't they, for like their Sunday dinner, which is better than nothing. It keeps a bit of tradition there, doesn't it? And some people go on a Sunday and just order from the normal menu, which I find baffling. I find it so bizarre that somebody would go and order lasagna on a Sunday.
What about you? Oh, a roast dinner. Oh, a roast dinner. I'm absolutely, I love a roast dinner. But I'm often working on a Sunday, so I don't really feel like I can have a roast dinner, or certainly make one. You know, it's really tricky. I have to think about the timing and when I'm going to have it and when I'm going to make it.
Yeah, sometimes for me, if I don't have time to make a Sunday dinner, if we're off at parties or whatever, but instead we might do it on a Saturday or on a Monday. It used to always be very fixed, and you would only have the Sunday dinner, like a Sunday roast, on a Sunday.
I think people's lifestyles have changed a huge amount, because the way that we cook food, the food that we have, that's all changed as well.
Yeah, I agree. Lifestyle has massively changed, hasn't it? Yeah, my two children have grown up and they've left me and my husband at home now, so we don't really cook it every Sunday. We just kind of cook whatever we fancy.
And like you're saying though, you know, your grandma would be inviting the whole family. You know, you could invite them. You know, your grown-up children, you could invite them, their partners, etc. You know, keep that tradition alive, make sure they come home every Sunday, you know. And I remember that, going home on a Sunday.
Yeah, but they work on a Sunday. My daughter's married and got her own life, and my son works on a Sunday.
Yeah, and I live really far from my family, so sometimes on a Sunday, you know, you can't be driving up and down the country just for a roast dinner, you know, whereas I remember on a Sunday we would always, you know, drive and see my grandma, but it was like half an hour, so we'd drive there, spend the day there, have a roast dinner and then drive home. Yeah, I think, you know, people moving away from where they grew up is a big change in tradition as well. You know, we used to all live near our immediate family and our nuclear family, and I think that's changed.
That's it. And my children are not 18 yet. My eldest will be 18 next year, but I do know that when they grow older and move out, I will make the effort to get them round and have that family time, because it's important to me to continue that tradition of having that specialist family time.
I agree. It just gives you a feeling, doesn't it? It gives you a feeling, and I think as we become older, we need to try and bring those traditions back and try and do what we can to convince them to stay locally and to stay with us. People moving abroad, having to fly all around the country. I think we want to honour our family traditions as well, and try and hold on to our memories and bring them into our family. And I think, you know, it's important that we remember our roots, and if I don't honour the traditions of my past family, what have I got to pass forward?
Yeah, looking through photos as well, I'm so grateful for all of the memories then, because they're printed memories, and I want us to have the same for my children as well. So I want to keep that so that they have those visual memories there to look back on.
Just gorgeous. Thank you so much, everyone. What a lovely conversation. It's been so nice to see you, and obviously you're all local from Leeds. It's been such a great chat. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful guests today. Such a brilliant discussion, but it's time to draw to a close. We are going to be back for the next episode in January. So 23rd of January, we're going to have a new topic with new guests as well. So a massive thank you to the Leeds Playhouse for giving us the space to film here today. It's been really comfortable, really fantastic. At the moment, there is a play on called A Christmas Carol that is on, as you can see in the background here, that runs all the way through to the middle of January. You know, the famous Ebenezer Scrooge. He's really tight with money. He doesn't want to help people who are poorer. And then one night he meets 3 spirits, 3 ghosts of past, present and future Christmas that teach him a lesson. That's the play. So there are accessible BSL performances. There are also captioned performances. You can have a look on the website and see what dates are suitable for you. And also a huge thank you to Signwell for sponsoring Thrive Live so that we're able to carry on providing this. Signwell are a VRS service who are able to provide instant live BSL interpreters, and a huge thank you as well to the Cambridge Deaf Association for all of their hard work into making this happen today. And good news for them, they've actually won a new lottery grant for £470,000 specifically for the befriending service for the next 4 years. That befriending service is available for deaf people who might live in the Cambridge area and also Huntingdonshire, so it covers both of those areas, to support people who might be isolated, lonely, and that funding is going to help loads of people to remove those barriers and get them part of the community. Thank you for watching, and bye bye for now.